It's going down at the Pink. Hey, hey, hey. It's going down at the Pink. P-Valley is going down at the Peak. Hey, it's going down at the Pink. Woo! P-Valley. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How you doing? It's going down at the Pink. It's going down. It's going down at the Pink. P-Valley is going down at the Pink. Woo! P-Valley is going down at the Pink. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture, just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen! P-Valley Season 2, Episode 5, entitled White Knight. Baby, this is Keyshawn's origin story, baby. It was Keyshawn's origin story and a nightmare at the same time. So let's get into this. So it was in two parts, present day and past tense day. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it down in those two things. We're going to talk about the past, and then we're going to talk about the present, what's going on, okay? That's not how the show went, but that's how we're going to break this down and talk about this thing right here. So let's talk about the past real quick. I took some notes about Keyshawn's past. Some notes. All right, y'all. Here we go. So, as far as the past now, we see that Keyshawn is trying out for cheerleading. We find out that Keyshawn is a transfer student from another school district to Chucalissa simply because her father married her stepmother, and her stepmother has two children, Alicia and what's the other girl's name? Alicia and Laronica. I think those are two names. And her stepmother is named Charisse. And so they're in Chucalissa. They're living on the right side of town. They got a big old house. So we find out that Keyshawn comes from a black upper middle class family. We see that she was trying out for cheerleading. She didn't make cheerleading, but that is where she meets Derek. And apparently Derek is a big time cheerleader. He happens to have he's a year ahead of her. So while she came in as a junior, he is a senior. And so he is a year ahead of her. Apparently he has a scholarship to go to some college, to go to school for cheerleading. And he is on point for that. So we see that there's a dynamic in Keyshawn's family. Her stepmother is, she's just one of those women that used her pretty privilege to get her father. Father divorces Keyshawn's mom to marry her. So she is all about her daughters, and she is very a colorist. She's very color struck. She's very much about her light-skinned daughter or her. And let me be very clear. Alicia is not all that light-skinned. Laronica is not all that light-skinned. But they have pretty privilege. And she is using that to the best of her abilities, trying to get her daughters into a better situation than what she grew up in. We see that she's very much like a Cinderella stepmom. She's doting on her daughters. And she's like kind of just pissing on Keyshawn, even to the point where things that the daughters are doing, she really doesn't want Keyshawn to do it. And we also find out pretty clearly at this point that Keyshawn's father, James, is working a lot, so he is not really paying attention to what the stepmother is doing. He just leaves it to her. He's not really paying attention, and I'm gonna tell you why he's not paying attention. We see that Derek sticks up for Keyshawn, apparently one of the football players. We also see that this is where she meets Gidget, because Gidget is like the cheer captain or something like that. But we kind of get the meaning of the White Knight as the episode's title. Apparently Derek comes to her rescue. He is like the White Knight or the Prince Charming in her dreams. Maybe not what she thought was going to be the Prince Charming, because we see again as Keyshawn is growing up, she is a very pretty dark-skinned girl, but she's growing up in a time where just color struck. I think terms were used about, you're pretty for a black girl, you're pretty for this. They see that she's gorgeous, but they don't feel like she has worth because she's not the light-skinned black girl. She is the darker skinned black girl, so they don't see her worth. They don't see that she's beautiful. They don't see anything like that. They just like, oh, she's a dark skinned black girl, and we just treat her as if she's ugly. And then you see black men on the cheerleading team, straight black men that are telling her, he trying to holler at her, a little boy named Quincy who's on the football team. He's trying to holler at her, but she doesn't reciprocate that. And then when she doesn't reciprocate, or she doesn't acquiesce to him wanting to talk to her, he then starts calling her out her name, calling her ugly, telling her she need to get out the sun. I mean, just awful. You need to get out the sun because you're already crispy. Come on now. So, we see all these things, and we see all these things that made up Keyshawn. She's not feeling beautiful, or she doesn't even believe that she's beautiful, which she is. We see in the hierarchy of her family, in the current dynamic, she is at the bottom of the barrel. Her father is not there, so we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. So we see how she kind of grown up. And with Derek is basically, he's telling her she's beautiful. He's probably the first person that's ever told her that she was actually beautiful. And he's very much smitten with her. We want to talk about briefly in her past, dealing with her sisters, because honey, I found it really funny how she was dealing with the younger sister. What's her name? Veronica. The mother realized, because Veronica was about Keyshawn's color. Veronica was maybe like a shade lighter than I was, and the mother said, well, she's not beautiful like Alicia because she's not as lighter skinned like Alicia. But because she had long hair, she figured that was going to be able to get her over. And it ended up that Keyshawn burnt that baby hair out. It's not funny. But the dynamic of that, her burning that baby's hair out, and how that stepmother got real upset. And she said it. She says, she's already not pretty in her color, and then you're going to take away her crown? What's wrong with you? And I looked and I was like, wow, P-Valley really went there. P-Valley really went there with a lot of these types of talk and issue that goes on with little black girls. And I'm quite sure it may go on with little black girls all over the United States, but that's particular about little black girls in the South. How because you're a darker skinned black girl, you're not considered to be pretty. You're not considered to be mainstream and pretty, but you are someone that is desired sexually, and you're hypersexualized because people won't tell you that you're beautiful. And if they do, they only tell you that in terms of trying to get you to have sex with them. Woo, honey, it's too much. It's too much. So we see all of this going on. We see that also what they brought up too, which happens prevalently in the South. And I know since they talked about it in Mississippi, It happens in Alabama. It happens in Georgia. It happens in Florida. It happens a lot of times in the South. Once they integrated schools in the South, one of the things that happened is you had white flight. And with white flight, a lot of white folks went to private schools. So they all end up going to a private school. Or if they were still in the same school system, what would happen is they would segregate the the entertainment portion. And what I mean by that is, in the South, you will have segregated proms. And what I mean by that is, and I know it still is prevalent. It's probably not as talked about as much. But what happens is, so if you have a high school, that's a public high school, that is where the black people, as far as like the proms and the spring dances and any of those types of things, that is where the black people would go. What would happen is the white people, what they do is that they have their own prom and their own function, right? Now, in some places, what happens is the school system will recognize where the white people go and put the funds toward the white people, wherein the black folks have to go and make up have their own little dance and have their own little situation. And what will happen is that the school system will say, okay, well, you all have it here at the school in the cafeteria, or have it in the gym. So they can say that, oh, this is the school function, this is what it is. But they're putting their monies and things over here where the white kids go. And then you'll have boosters and things like that would contribute to this side. So you would have them having the prom, say, at a country club, or have the prom at whatever city you're in, whatever the prominent place to go or the prominent place to have a party, that's where they'll have those parties. So we see that Keyshawn goes with where her sisters are going to the prom that's sanctioned, that is at the school. Keyshawn goes to the winter dance that's sanctioned by the white folks. And Derek's mother apparently is the person that's over that. So she's going to the white folks' prom versus going to the prom with the black folks. Now, why am I mentioning that? We also get to see her father. And you remember I talked about how the stepmother was able to rule roughshod over the home and take the money that James is making. James is Keyshawn's father. The money that he makes and puts it towards her daughter and not put it towards Keyshawn. We see that the father is upholding that, because what happened is the girls are dressed and ready to go to the dance. And they're taking pictures with their dates. And we see that James, who is Keyshawn's father, is taking pictures of Alicia and LaRonica and their dates. But he wants to get in the picture himself. And as he gets into the picture, he is kissing on and holding on to Alicia real tight. And she seems to be real uncomfortable. And the first thing I thought about was the Tyler Perry movie. What is that Tyler Perry movie with y'all know who I'm talking about. The lady that played in Greenleaf, she was the mama. And there was an older daughter and the younger daughter. And she basically, in order for, she kind of sold her daughter out, or pimped her daughter out for money and fame. I can't think of what that Tyler Perry movie is. But that's the situation, it seems like. That the oldest daughter, Alicia, was getting a lot more than what she bargained for. I would say that she's possibly being SA'd by Keyshawn's father. Or it's some, I'm just going to leave it there. So that's basically what's going on into the past. We also see that Keyshawn gets pregnant by Derek, and with her being pregnant, we see that's where things starts to spiral. Because remember when I told you, Keyshawn and Derek come from upper middle class families. Keyshawn comes from an upper middle class black family. Derek comes from an upper middle class white family. These two children get together. Keyshawn gets pregnant. So it looks like Derek's scholarship. He didn't go to college because Keyshawn got pregnant. And so this is how you see their relationship spiral. We do see where the incidents of Derek initially with this domestic violence, him beating on Keyshawn. And just for note, whoever's watching it, the red flag should have been when you saw Derek beat down the football players. Now, I will say this, it's a red flag, but it wasn't so pervasive simply because Quincy was the one that initiated the attack by spitting on Derek. Now, I don't know how it is in white folks culture, but in black folks culture, when you spit on somebody, that means that's the most disgusting thing that you can do to somebody when you spit on them. So we're seeing that that Quincy initiated that and Derek finished that. So let's talk about the present. We're going to talk about that real quick, and then I want to get into my my summary of everything. So real quick, what's going on in the present? Keyshawn is on this. They're on the last leg of this tour with Lil Murder. Keyshawn is in Atlanta. Everybody's in Atlanta because Keyshawn is going to be dancing at the Legends Ball. And apparently this Legends Ball is to acknowledge and give flowers to the strippers of old. And so she is the stripper of new. And so she's going to do a show, and Keyshawn killed it as per usual. She looked good. Jocelyn was in this. Doing it like it was her B-Day, doing it like it's her B-Day, baby, doing it like it's her B-Day. She was in there doing, talking about the new girls and talking about how they were doing things that that she never thought that they could do. Keyshawn performs. Jocelyn gives her some advice, letting her know that these people think you ain't nothing but a hoe, and let them think that that's okay. But you know that you want to have something bigger and better, and you keep your eye on the prize. And baby, let me tell you, all that money that Keyshawn got, she was in there doing them little snow angels in the money. Lil Murder was a little salty because he wanted to perform, but Rome, who is Keyshawn's manager, was like, this is for Keyshawn, this ain't for you, and you're not going to be able to perform. Because you remember I told you last time, Woody Wody, he was not, he wasn't doing the manager things. Rome is doing all the things that he needs to do as a manager. He's working on getting Keyshawn a shoe deal. He's working on getting Keyshawn a wig deal. He already got her the lash deal. So he's doing all these little different things to show that he's working in and getting some money. Now, you remember as the last episode, the last time we saw Big Teak and Lil Murder, they was enthralled in a good sexual relationship. Today we see them, they're fussing and arguing about just a little of nothing. You could tell it's like couples, so just arguing about a little bit of nothing. So then when Rome calls them up on it, they're like, we ain't arguing. And he ain't saying nothing, but he's like, y'all in here arguing for some stupid stuff. Check that. So we see Rome talking to Keyshawn and letting her know that he's going to extend the tour. She was like, that's not what we had agreed to. I need to get home. He was like, I done talked to your little Justin Bieber, and he done already, I let him know that it was going to be an extra week. Everything was going good, and it's going to be an extra week. But Keyshawn really wants to get home. She's missing her kids. She really wants to get home. And Rome is, and I saw it at that point. He was real aggressive at that point. We gonna make this money and you gonna do what it do and all this other stuff. And the way he was looking at Keyshawn, that's just set off some red flags for me. Now, you remember I thought that Woody or Wody, he was really, I thought he was very interested in Keyshawn himself. Because you remember at the last episode, he was outside while she and Gidget were outside. When Gidget went home back to Nashville. And he was looking at Keyshawn kind of funny. So I was a little nervous about that. I was like, okay, Rome got to be on top of that. But, baby, was I wrong. So, Lil Murder and Big Teak were not really prominent in this episode. So what happens is, Keyshawn is performing. Keyshawn is wanting to go home, and Lil Rome is not really hearing that. She's supposed to, Jocelyn invited her and Rome to her little after party. And so they're getting ready to go to the after party. He tells her that her wig deal, Rome tells Keyshawn that her wig deal has fallen through, and that, they have this shoe deal that she's looking for. But she was really wanting that wig deal. And so Rome is talking to her and all this kind of stuff. He's in his room and she's in his room, and he asks her to put on her stripper outfit. He calls it a name. I want to say if he said a fit or her floss. I think is what he said, her floss. And he wanted her to put it on because he wanted her to show her how it would look with the shoe deal or the shoes that she had. So she does it. She's not thinking of anything wrong because he's never been inappropriate with her. Well, he was inappropriate with her that night. He tried to have sex with her. He thought that she was going to be okay with him having sex with her. Because, he kind of let his robe slip open and his penis comes out and everything like that. And she's like, hold on, you got, your junk is out. You need to take care of that. And he burrows up on her and she's like, no, this is not what I want to do. I am here to work and get my work done and perform a fantasy. I'm not here to do this. Baby, he pushed himself upon her. She ended up beating him down and getting away, and she runs into Wodie's room. She tells Wodie what happens. Oh, let me back up. Because he was just being full of himself, talking about what people are going to do and how things are going to happen. And he talks about Lil Murder. And he says, Lil Murder don't, because she kissed him. She kissed Lil Murder. You remember a couple times she kissed him? He said, well, I realized that kiss wasn't really real because you ain't even who Lil Murder want. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he pulls out his phone in this video. And she sees this video of, I don't know who Lil Murder is having sex with, but it's not a woman. And he's like letting her know, I know that you and Lil Murder are not an item. And so therefore, I guess he figures that he's going to want to take a little he wants a little piece of Keyshawn. And she beats his butt down to the damn ground. And she runs out of the room and she runs to Wodie's room and she tells him what's going on. And he's like, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Baby, Keyshawn goes home and Wodie goes to the party. And baby, it's one of them parties, honey. They in there having sex. They doing all kinds of stuff in there. There's a big old orgy-like party going on. People taking drugs. People having sex. Just a whole lot of debauchery going on. A bacchanal, if you may. And Rome is in the back. And so I can't recall or can't think if Wodie bought some drugs or how it was. But anyway, they were doing lines. And Wodie was very specific because he did his line first. He was very specific about doing the lines. He didn't do the first two lines. He went and did like the lines closer to the side. And he did one line. And he's talking to Rome. And Rome does the two lines at the beginning. But anyway, it makes sense because of the fact that Rome started feeling sick. And Wodie started talking to him. He's like, I know what you did to Keyshawn. I know you got some video. Where is the video? And Rome is like, what are you talking about? And I mean, he is just wavering in and out. And then Wodie starts talking about, because you remember, Wodie is a undertaker. And he starts talking about death and about being present when someone dies. Because he asked Rome, was he present when somebody died? And Rome was like, I was present when my mother died. But anyway, all of this to say, honey, Wodie done sat up there and mixed some fentanyl. Some kind of way. I don't know how it was saw, but I knew that he, maybe they had cut it out, but like I said, that this was a line, and this was a line, and this was a line, and this was a line. Wodie made sure that he didn't get to these two lines. He got to the third line. And that's the line that he took. He only took one. And Rome took the first two lines in each nostril. So basically, those two lines were full of fentanyl. And if you know anything about fentanyl takes folks out of here. Fentanyl took Prince out of here. Fentanyl has taken a lot of comics and rappers and stuff like that. It done took a lot of them out of here because people are mixing that they're cutting that cocaine with fentanyl. Baby, Wody left that man back there in that back room, dying. I don't know. I'm going to assume that Rome died because he walked out of that room like it wasn't nothing. He left him in that room, dying, but he was telling him, you needed to tell me where the tape was, where the video was of Lil Murder. He didn't walk out of there with the video, but I guess he figured, I've killed Rome, I've killed that video, but I don't think that that's what's going on. So the last thing in the present day is the fact that Keyshawn goes home. She's happy to be home. She has her kids. She notices that her oldest son, he's just crying. She doesn't know why he's crying so much. She takes him to the doctor. The doctor says he has, there's something kind of elbow where like his elbow got dislocated. Now it is easier to dislocate the elbow. However, the nurse noticed that there was some bruising on that baby. Jaden, I can't remember what she said baby's name was. And so the doctor is basically saying that baby has been abused. So Keyshawn comes home and Derek is getting dressed to do something, to go someplace. And he didn't even ask what happened to the babies. How did Jalen do his doctor's appointment? And Keyshawn basically told him, that you have been beating on my baby. Now, what made me so sad is that Keyshawn said, you can beat on me any way you want to beat on me, but you don't beat my children. And Derek tries to explain, you weren't here with 2 weeks for these kids. You don't know how he was acting and whining and stuff. And Keyshawn's like, you're not going to beat my kids like your father beat you. That's not what we're going to do. And they got into a little tete-a-tete. And that damn Derek had beat Keyshawn down. And he was about to take the iron and burn her face. And she was like, anything but my face. You can burn any place in my face but any place on my body but my face. And my heart just sunk to know that you are in that type of relationship because you love him. And he is showing you that he doesn't have the capacity to love you like you love him. And that you are sitting there allowing this man to beat you down, beat the brakes off you. And to sit there and say, you can burn any part of me but my face. That broke me. I was just like, no. And that's basically where it ended. I don't know. He didn't burn her. He just left. But he had beat her. So I'm thinking that Keyshawn has started to see that it's not confined to her. He is beating the children. And so she's having an incident. She's going to have to come. Enough is enough. And I'm hoping that was enough for her to see that relationship with Derek is not going to work out. Is just not going to work out. You can have as many kids as you want for Derek. You can do all those different things. But this fairy tale relationship that you believe that you're in with Derek is not going to work out. Your manager is dead. So hopefully she goes back to the pink just because she needs to be able to do something to make some money. And so that made me understand. So that was basically the episode. That made me understand because when I first watched this last season, I was trying to figure out where was Keyshawn's mother and how come Keyshawn's parents weren't helping out. And so why they never could get anybody to help them out. So now we kind of see what's going on. Tell me what y'all thought about this episode. It wasn't as heavy as the other episodes, but it gave us Keyshawn's origin story. So what did y'all think about that origin story? What do y'all think about M.I. Crooked Letter? What are you all thinking about Lil Murder? What are you all thinking about Big Teak? What do you think about Wody? Because I was thinking that Wody was trying to hook up with Keyshawn. Is that, you think that's going to happen? Because this man don't mind killing folk. He really don't mind killing folk. he is truly Lil Murder. Lil Murder be perpetrated like he Lil Murder, but Wody is really Lil Murder. All right, y'all. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I see y'all watching. I see y'all. Just go ahead and subscribe. It's right here. And as always, people, bye-bye.